There is some very sweet gossip that has emerged from State House Nairobi. Mshene inaweza kuwa tamu sana. But the problem is, this is politics. And things don't happen by accident. Always remember that. On my show today, I am going to expose exactly what is happening. And I'm sure many of us are going to be shocked. And many others of us are going to remember that things just don't leak out of State House of your view, just like that. No! There is a deeper story here. A super fascinating, deeper story. In case I've lost you, this is the Mshene about how the Suba South legislator, Karoli Omondi, slapped Junet Mohammed. Oh yes, that Junet Mohammed. There was a confrontation deep inside State House, according to this story that we have been fed, and Kenyans are delighted about it. And we even have mainstream media taking this incident and analyzing it politically. Okay? That is the story I'm talking about. Now, before we go into the show, there is another heads up I want to give you. You know, many of us have gotten very bored with what is happening in ODM. Okay? And one may ask, why should anything that is happening within ODM or amongst ODM politicians concern us? It is boring, Chris. We don't want to know. Okay, that is a fair question. And here's my answer. Actually, anybody who wants to predict well in advance what is going to happen in our politics, anybody who wants to analyze Kenyan politics, we really don't have an option. We have to pay close attention to anything and everything that is happening within ODM for a very simple reason. Before Baba breathed his last on 15th October last year, the year 2025, ODM, the party, was the most influential political outfit in the entire region, and definitely in the entire country. And in my opinion, it is very naive for anybody to think that all this power and influence was because of Raila and only because of Raila. No. A powerful party attracts serious politicians, very influential politicians. What I'm trying to say is that most of the politicians within ODM are very experienced, very influential, very cunning, yes, which is important in politics, at least in Kenyan politics. And therefore, you cannot ignore where those people are going to go. And indeed, even if some characters remain within ODM, a shell of a party, very weak, you cannot ignore those individuals. They will definitely have an impact on our politics. The second reason is even more obvious. We know that the main man right now, the person most influential in the ODM party right now, tusijidanganye, is President William Samoei Ruto. And because of those reasons, I cannot afford to ignore ODM and keep my conscience. Because you have kept me here on this channel, some of you have even made sacrifices to ensure that this channel keeps on running, so that I give you a heads up, so that I tell you exactly what is happening in Kenyan politics. And that will not be possible if I totally ignore what is happening within ODM. Anyway, let's get on with it. Twende kazi. Politicians many times take advantage of human nature. Oh yes, especially in the country called Kenya. Handouts and the reaction one can expect after handing out something for free cash or free food for Christmas, etc., etc. Okay? It is human nature that you're going to look kindly to that person who has been generous towards you. You're going to hesitate before you take your vote away from that person who has been generous to you. Okay, of course, the exceptions. Because right now in Kenya, Kenyans hate anything to do with a party called UDA. So much so that, in my opinion, they will take your money and they'll still vote against you. Okay, that's an exception. But remember, we're talking about ODM today and influential politicians within ODM. Anyway, the human nature aspect somebody wants to take advantage of is, let me put it very simply, in the Kenyan way, is the sweetness of mshene. Now, you know, even individuals take advantage of this fully. I'm sure you know those people who receive a story with all the facts intact, and then they modify it to make it sweeter, to make it as sweet as honey. And of course, they do this by including lies, falsehoods, yeah, to sweeten the story. Now, for purposes today, I need to ask the simple question. Does it usually work? Of course it does. It works like a charm. And the result is the falsehoods inside the truth are taken with the truth as the whole truth and nothing but the truth. That is exactly what is happening here with this Junet Mohammed, Karoli Omondi story. Okay? Now let's start with the Mshene. The story goes that Karoli Omondi was deep inside State House having a very serious discussion with head of the civil service, Bwana Felix Koski, when Junet Mohammed saw him. And Junet Mohammed, according to this story, was very angry. Hey, Bwana Omondi, how did you get inside here in State House? Who gave you permission? Don't you know that I'm the kingpin? No Luo legislator is supposed to enter here without my knowledge and approval. Huh? What are you doing here? Something like that. And Bwana Omondi responded by telling Junet Mohammed, please, I am busy. We're discussing something very important here. I will see you later. I will see you later. Yeah, I'm assuming to explain himself. But according to this Mshene, Junet Mohammed did not understand, did not even hear what he was being told. And he continued with the same pere and so on and so forth. And Bwana Omondi lost his temper, held the guy by his neck, and gave Junet Mohammed, and I quote, a hot slap, end of quote. Hey, now before we break that down, there is another piece of Mshene linked to this that has been released in the last few hours. We have been told that Junet Mohammed was on his knees at the office of current interim party leader of the ODM party, Bwana Oburu Odinga. Junet was on his knees before Oburu, begging for something, begging for forgiveness. Because, the caption told us, there was a meeting within ODM, and the characters mentioned are very interesting. I want you to take careful note of them. There was a meeting between Ida Odinga, Edwin Sifuna, Oburu Odinga. Now I'm sure you already see there's something wrong there. Yeah, those are two different factions of the ODM party having a meeting to deal with Junet Mohammed. And according to this caption, those characters had met and decided that Junet Mohammed was going to be replaced as minority leader by Embakasi East legislator Babu Owino. Okay, let's break it down. The first thing we all need to know, and I'm sure I'm just reminding some of us, is that anything, no matter how controversial, that happens within the grounds of State House, within the vicinity of State House, remains in State House. That is written in stone. And so what does that mean? It means that if anything is leaked out of State House, it has been leaked deliberately. And in most instances, in my experience, what is leaked is not the whole truth. And many other times, it is completely fabricated, set up, a fictional thing leaked out of State House. The objective? Political mileage or political reasons. One day on the grounds of State House, something very controversial happened in Moi's State House. An elderly politician very close to President Moi, called Reuben Chesire, was punched, got the worst of the fight with a then new politician called William Ruto. And actually this one happened because even Ruto confirmed it and told Kenyans that the scuffle was because Bwana Chesire had called him a con man. Now, I want us to know that before Reuben Chesire leaked out that story, he got an approval, a nod from President Daniel Toroitich arap Moi. What could have been the objective? The objective was to deal with Ruto politically. Actually, it did not work, but it was a good try. Because in African custom, when you attack somebody who's older than you, old enough to be your father, it does not augur well for you. And voters may decide to start hating you. So it was not a bad political chess move, but it did not work. Because today, William Ruto is the president of Kenya. Yes, it is a long story, which I know most of us know. But let us stay on point. And let us try and find out why this story was leaked out. Okay, because traditionally, okay, everything that happens within State House stays inside State House. Unless otherwise, unless somebody wants to use it for political gain. And usually, that person, whoever they are, cannot do that without the approval of the person who lives inside State House. Okay? Trust me, nobody else can give that approval. And so let us start by looking at the details. What are the details telling us? The details of this sweet mshene. Okay? They're telling us that Junet Mohammed hangs around the corridors of State House, giving approval on who in ODM should see Ruto and who should not. But then what happened, this story is telling us, is that somebody who is against the broad-based government, Karoli Omondi, the Suba South MP, taught him a lesson. He gave him a hot slap. Their words, not mine. And then in the same shene, and this is important, we are reminded that Junet Mohammed is linked. Sifuno gave us this information. But then this mshene reminds us that Junet Mohammed is linked to the disappearance of some money, which was donated by President Uhuru Kenyatta, former President Uhuru Kenyatta, to pay agents of Raila Odinga during the 2022 presidential elections. Now, in my opinion, the second mshene, which I've just given you, about Junet Mohammed kneeling down in Oburu's office, is what reveals to us very clearly what the objective here was. It makes it so obvious. Because we are told Ida Odinga, Edwin Sifuna, the blue-eyed people within ODM, as far as voters are concerned, as far as the majority of Kenyans are concerned, had a meeting with Oburu Odinga, and they reached a decision to remove Junet Mohammed from his position as minority leader and replace him with somebody else who is very popular now in the eyes of Kenyans, and replace him with Babu Owino. I'm sure some of us can already begin to see what the whole political objective was in this instance. And maybe just to give you a hint, what is the objective of the executive as far as the ODM party is concerned? Many people have told us that Ruto is very determined that ODM remains united and intact. Why? So that he can use the party for his re-election bid in the year 2027. A splintered ODM is useless to Ruto. That should be obvious. And so this story is supposed to make Kenyans believe that ODM has closed ranks, the members have closed ranks, they have circled the wagons, and they are now united as one party. And the star players, Sifuna, Babu Owino, Ida Odinga, are all inside this new move against Junet Mohammed. It is quite possible that it has been decided that Junet Mohammed will be the sacrificial lamb in this particular operation. And of course, if you sacrifice somebody, si mnakaa mnaongea kwanza, mnasikilizana. Yeah? You even discuss things like compensation. I think that is obvious. And now we need to ask that question. Will it work? What is the opinion of Kumekucha Chris? In my opinion, the answer to that question is a very firm and emphatic no. It will not work. It will never work. It can never work. Okay? Why? Because of many reasons. Number one, we are not in the 90s or 80s. Wakenya wamechanuka sana. Number two, Kenyans are way too angry with what is unfolding in our country for anything like this to ever have any chance of working. But it was a good try. Okay? One of the reasons why it will not work is that Kenyans, I'm sure most Kenyans remember, that Karoli Omondi joined Ruto very early in 2023. He became part of the Ruto government, working closely with the president, even before the broad-based arrangement happened. And I need to remind us here to be careful with these politicians. We have always said on this channel, it is not what the politicians say that we should pay close attention to. It is what they do. And in this instance, if it is true that Karoli Omondi is in the camp of Sifuna and others who are against the broad-based government, then can you tell me what he was doing in State House? Tell me. What was he doing there? Okay? Doesn't make sense. But looking at his history, what he has done in the past, not what he has said, it makes perfect sense. I'm sure you agree with me. Now, it is Junet Mohammed's very close ally and friend, a legislator called Sam Atandi of Alego Usoga, said some very interesting thing. What did he say when he was asked by the press about this incident? He said he is very sure nothing like that happened. Huh? Did he really say that? Oh, yes, he did. And then he added something else. He said that if there was a slap given to anybody, it is Junet Mohammed who slapped Karoli Omondi, which, if you ask me, does not make sense. Look at the size and structure of Karoli Omondi, and look at the size and structure of Junet Mohammed. Of course, it is possible, but it is unlikely. I'm sure you know where I'm going with this one. That was just a very loyal friend trying to defend his friend from shame that he was given a hot slap. No, if there was a slap, it must have been him, Bwana Junet Mohammed, who delivered it. He did not receive it. Something else. We are told that Oburu Odinga had a meeting with Edwin Sifuna and Ida Odinga and other people, and they decided to take action against Junet Mohammed. Now, the time we're being told this, there is also something else which I think is relevant happening within ODM. The Central Committee met. Yeah, this is the most powerful organ of the political party. And missing from that meeting was Edwin Sifuna, the Secretary General of the ODM party, and the Deputy Party Leader, very senior people, the Deputy Party Leader, Bwana Osotsi. Okay, I hope I've pronounced that correctly. I'm a Luya, but the blood from my mother is from the Bukusu. Maybe it is the adopted Kikuyu in me, the adopted Kikuyu blood, Karaoke Kumekucha, that was actually trying to pronounce that name. Maybe. Anyway, there you have it. My take, to summarize it all, this was a stage-managed story with some political objectives that will not work. Okay? Now, just a quick reminder, the final golden key offer for a very long time, maybe even forever, is about to end. It is actually going to end on Wednesday, the 14th of January, at exactly midnight, your time, wherever you are in the world. So please take full advantage. You can see details on your screens right now. 4,999 will buy you the golden key for a whole year. You'll receive a lot of sensitive information during that year. And 5,999 will buy you a permanent golden key. It will never expire. Now, I also need to remind you about my latest highly sensitive special report, which is actually a video that sheds new light into the Cyrus Jirongo fiasco. Now, as I said in my previous video, I cannot say very much about this particular footage because it is very, very sensitive. But let me give you a hint, okay? You will see somebody who is very familiar, actually two individuals in that video. One, you see the partial face. One, if you observe their body carefully, you will know who it is. And it is beyond shell shocking that that person was at the scene at that time of the night. Hey. And then, of course, there is the mysterious hand on the passenger door of Jirongo's vehicle, as Muliake is lying down there, on this other side, the driver's side. And people are trying to widen the driver's side. I don't know to do what. Maybe to get better access. But then you ask yourself the question, if somebody else is accessing the passenger side door, why break the driver's side door when you can use the passenger side door very easily to get access? Huh? Anyway, members of the Golden Key already have this highly sensitive information, and you can join them, okay, by taking advantage of this very latest special offer, the last Golden Key offer. And so if you're in a position, please take action quickly to avoid disappointment. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha Karaoke.